Hi everyone, welcome back to Let's Play Dwarf Fortress and tutorial Dwarf Fortress. I am Sir Tristan. In this episode we're going to talk about workshops, or the basic workshops at least. There are a lot of them, and we're going to cover just the basics. I'm going to go ahead and expand these two rooms here. I've used the designations menu, D, here, and then D again to set up my my digging path here. If you can remember, you press enter to dig and you create a start point, and you move the cursor, press enter again, and you make like a stop point, just like that. Actually, I want to go ahead and block this part off, perhaps. Let's make it a little artistic. We'll do that. Maybe something like this. Just pressing enter, moving all around. Okay, looks pretty good. We'll unpause it and let the dwarves go to work. So as I was mentioning in the last episode, dwarves need some basic things. They need shelter, they need food, they need alcohol. Well, they need water, but they want alcohol. All of them do. Okay, we'll go ahead and pause it. And let's go ahead and get started with shelter. So, let's see here. If you look on the right side, under announcements at the very top, I'll use my mouse here if you can see it. You have the building menu. If I hit B, it shows you everything that you can build, and you need to think of it not like, oh, like for instance B for bed in this menu here. I press B, I'll make a bed, you know, the dwarf will come down, get wood, make it into a bed, and then put it somewhere. That's actually not how it works. Almost every single one of these, except for workshops and yeah, I think it's just workshops. Oh no, it's workshops and walls, floors, stairs, tracks, kind of this option right here. Anyway, there's a few. We can go through them one at a time. Most of them require the item to be built in some kind of location. For instance, you need to build a bed in a workshop. You need to build an armor stand in a workshop. Door, wall grates, bars, cabinets, containers. All those need to be made in a workshop before they can be placed. So don't think of this as a building menu, as in like I am hammering things together, you know, putting super glue on it, and then I'm going to put it down somewhere. You most need to think of this as a placing menu, building or placing menu. Some things you'll build, like the workshops, the trade depot, things like that. Some things you'll have to place after you've built them. So let's go ahead and unpause. Oops. Let them finish digging out this little area here. Just extending these two large rooms. So the first thing that I want to do is take care of my dwarves' living quarters, which means they need a place to sleep. Right now, if they were to get tired, they would just fall asleep on the ground. I'm going to go up a level. And right now, as you can see, they're all kind of just huddled around the wagon. I'm going to press K for look, and I got my little cursor here, as you can see, the yellow. Remember that this big wagon right here in the middle. And they all just kind of hover around it, because that's what they do by default, is they hover around that area. So I want to kind of change that. I want to move some of them in ground, or at least, for now, have them sleep underground. So I need to build a bed. As we saw in the building menu, B, and then B again is to build a bed. But as you can see, in order to build a bed, or place a bed, you need a bed. Excuse me. Ooh, wow. Apologies about that there. Anyway, we don't have a bed to build a bed, so we need to build a bed. And you build beds and other things in workshops. So, if we're at the main menu right here, you hit B for building. And then as you scroll down the list, you'll find workshops listed under W. Yes, it is listed as workshops. I wanted to make sure. Is the W key. Remember that a lot of these keys are going to be very intuitive. B for build something, W for workshops. And now we have this third menu here. This is about as deep as the menus go. It's usually about 3 nests deep. So we have building as one, workshops as another, and then usually something else. Or buildings, walls, floors, stairs, and then that. Anyway, let's go back. W for workshop, And remember, you can follow along the keys that I'm pressing. In the bottom left corner, any key that I press will show up down there. So we have a list of all of our workshops. We'll go over the basics today. The first one is a carpenter's workshop. It is about 6 or 7, oops, I hit enter, not down, not plus. It's about 6 or 7 down, in between bowyers and metalsmiths. Here's the cursor, it's right here. And it's C, go figure, C. So we'll press C, and you can see we have this red 3x3 grid here. And the game wants us to place it. So we need to move it into an area where it's green, sure enough. Red would be can't place it. Green would be can place it. I guess purple would be you're close but not quite, right? So now workshops need accessible entrances, and it might be kind of hard to see, but if you follow my cursor here, this square, and this one in the bottom right corner are a darker shade of green than the rest. So I'm going to go ahead and press enter, and I'll explain why in a moment. I'm going to go ahead and press enter. And as you can see on the right, it's asking us what we want to build this carpenter's workshop out of. Now, we have the plumwood logs and the hazelwood logs, because if you go back up, oops, let's, can I not go up a floor? Okay, I'm going to back out real fast, go up a floor. If you remember in the last episode, we used our designation menu T to chop down a few trees. So we have some here, my mouse cursor, and here as well. So we have these logs now available. As we dig through the earth, as we build clay bricks, as we generate blocks of steel and stuff, we can use those to build as well. But for now, all we have is the wood. So let's go back into B, W, C for the carpenter's workshop. We'll press, I made this kind of awkwardly, the symmetrical, it's not gonna work. Not gonna work for me. I'm gonna have to fix this. Let me just do this real fast. I apologize. Otherwise, it's just gonna drive me crazy. They're gonna dig out one more. There we go. So now it should line up a little bit better. Let's see. Let's go B, W for workshops, C for carpenters. I know I've said that 3 times, but you have to hammer these things home. The only way to learn these is to memorize them. So press enter like before. Since we only have 6 plumwood logs, I don't want to run out. I mean, there's so many trees outside, we're not going to run out, but still. Now we can use the plus and minus on the number pad. And as you can see, the lighter color yellow will light up depending on what we want to do. And if we want, we could actually press V to view the item itself. Look, this is a porous and fibrous structural tissue found in the stems and roots of trees and underground, etc., etc., etc. Don't really need to look at that. Sometimes in the future, when you have very specific things you want to build items out of, like higher tier, like you craft like a really nice gem, and then you want to build something out of that gem, and you want to make sure you get just the right one, that could be useful for that. But anyway, we're going to press enter, and as you can see, I'm going to use my mouse cursor here to highlight. There's this little looks kind of like a sword here, a block here. The symbols don't matter, but basically this is the shell of the carpenter's workshop. I'm going to press escape a few times, once too many, unpause it, and we should see for a moment, or in a moment, someone, there we go. Oops, he just went down. There he goes. Let's press K. Celeste, that's right, Celeste, our carpenter and tree cutter, is building our carpenter's workshop. So we'll unpause and watch this happen. There we go, and it's built. Now, as I was saying before, let's BWC. Let's actually compare these. I could have, maybe I have it wrong. Anyway, you can see there's lighter squares. I believe maybe the lighter squares you can pass through. You know what? I need to find out. I don't want to lead you astray. Let's check the workshops real fast. Pass. Not all squares of all workshops are passable. In fact, like the jewelry workshop has 3 impassable tiles down one side. These squares appear a dark color during initial placement. Be careful not to block access. when building. So the impassable tiles. See how easy that was to look that up? That's why this wiki is fantastic. So these tiles 1, 2, 3 are impassable. And when it was built, it turns out these kind of swirl pattern tiles can't be walked through. So if I were to build this in the corner and block off this entrance right here, and doors can go diagonal, by the way, but if I were to block off this entrance and this entrance here, you wouldn't be able to get to the middle, and doors always build in the middle. So that's good to know. So now we have our carpenter's workshop, but how do we build stuff on it? So there's a very specific button. Let's go back out. And if you look in our menu here, there's Q, set building task or preference. So we press Q, and we have another cursor here. We move it near the carpenter's workshop. It doesn't have to be on it. It usually just has to be the closest thing to it. So, for instance, as you can see in the upper right corner here, it says carpenter's workshop. I could move my cursor pretty far away, even here, and as long as it's the closest thing, it'll let me interact with it. However, let's just mouse over it, or cursor over it, and you can see on the right here, we can add a new task, we can cancel our current task, promote what's we have currently selected. That would be if we wanted to change the order around a little bit, or if we want to repeat a task. Let's go ahead and press A to add a new task, and now you have a giant list of everything that you can make in a carpenter's workshop. Let me hit tab a few times. Can I get, there we go, we can get that menu to be a little bit bigger. So we have wooden weapons, or shields, oops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 5 different little kind of training weapons or training shields. Barrels, blocks, buckets, traps, cages, armor stands. Hey, look at that, it's a bed. That's exactly what we want to build. There's a few more, chair, casket door, a whole other thing, corkscrews, wooden spikes, mine carts, wheelbarrows, pipe sections, splints, crutches. There's a lot of stuff that you can make. But let's just focus on the basics for now. Construct a bed. It's B, just like in the build menu, so we press B from here. And we see now construct bed has shown up on the right as the first task. Let's press escape, and escape, escape, one too many times, and we will hit tab, we'll move the menu back down, and we'll unpause, and Celeste should run back in. There we go. Let's pull the piece of logs. Pulled a piece of log, well, I guess a big log in, and she's building. It's kind of hard to see that she's building, but she is, and she's done. Let's hit Q again. The way that I like to think of it is Q is to queue up something in a building. That's how I remember Q is to, you know, basically tell someone to build something. Or, I mean, it's used for more than that, but at least in workshops, Q to queue up something. So let's press A again. Now, we don't need one bed for each dwarf. Dwarves don't sleep at the same time. They will sometimes delay if the beds are full, and you know, they'll usually rotate get some kind of rotating sleeping pattern going on. But I don't like to do that. I think that everybody should have their own bed, and every dwarf should have their own bed. So we'll hit Q. As you can see, the task is now gone, now that the bed has been made. We'll press A, B for bed, add a task bed, and we'll just do that 6 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. We're going to press escape and unpause. And once again, Celeste should start hauling wood downstairs. Has a cat following her, I guess. And she's making beds. Now, as you can see, the beds don't appear anywhere. When she makes them, where do they go? Well, they actually sit inside the workshop. Anything that's built in a workshop sits inside of it. And you can see them with a very simple button. It's over here, it's T. View items in building. So we'll press T. The cursor's already over the workshop. And you can see on the right here, the very top one is actually what the building is made out of. The B for the building. It's made out of a hazelwood. Remember when we picked hazelwood at the very beginning? And underneath it is a plumwood bed and another plumwood bed. Let's unpause. Wait for Celeste to build another. Press T again, and you can see there's now a third bed in the list. I'm using plus and minus to navigate. If I wanted to, I could look at the bed. A pallet for dwarves to sleep on, which must be made from wood. It prevents the stress of sleeping on the ground, and can be used to designate a bedroom, used by one dwarf or a couple, a dormitory, used by multiple dwarves, or a barracks, used by military for training and sleeping. Okay, so we know where the beds are, so how do we build them? Or how do we place them? Well, it's in the building button, or in the building menu. Press B, and remember from before, there's the bed right there, second on the list. You can see it. I've highlighted it a little bit here. Press B again, and now, unlike before where it said need bed, it just tells us where to place it, just like it explains, or it asks us to place the carpenter's dwarf, like we did before. We have this nice room up here at the top, which I have set aside for beds, and I'm going to build us some beds. So let's see, let's put them here. Now, just like a workshop, dwarves need access to the bed. Now, the bed is only one tile, which means they can get at it from any direction. But if you were to build, obviously, a bed in a one-tile room and lock the door, they wouldn't be able to get in there, right? I mean, that's kind of common sense. But you still need to know it. So we're going to place it right there. I'm going to, oops, I accidentally hit escape. I'm going to press B to build a bed again. Going to find the spot and press enter. Now, same thing on the right. It's asking us, just like when we built the workshop, it's asking us basically which bed we want to place or build, using air quotes, even though we've already built the bed, where we're going to place it. And you can see we have the 3 plumwood beds here. The distance is 10, how far away it is, what the item is, and how many we have. We have 3. So I'm going to go ahead and press enter to place that bed. Press B again. Move over, press enter. Place another bed. Press B. Press down. Place the last bed. So now I'm going to go up a level and unpause, and some dwarves should rush down. Sure enough, lots of dwarves are rushing down. They're going to grab the beds from the workshop, and you can see I've paused it now. Look at the flashing dwarves. They're carrying the bed with them. We'll unpause it. And now they've got the beds. Pretty cool. Now dwarves will freely sleep in those beds. If I press, oops, not T, if I press Q, because we want to use, we want to set a building preference. And again, a bed is not a building, but Q is setting preference for something. So we press Q, and highlight a bed. As you can see, you can make a bedroom. Remember when I looked at the building before, it said that it can be used to either to make a bedroom for a dwarf or a couple, a common room, which like any dwarf can sleep in, or like a military barracks. Let's go ahead and press R on this bed, and now it's asking us to size the room. You'll see this interface, this flashing blue interface, in a few different places, but it is primarily used for building bedrooms, building dining rooms, things like that. So we want to press plus a few times to increase the size of the room. So I could press minus, and it would get smaller. You could make a bedroom the one tile, just the bed, but we're actually going to make this a dormitory that all the dwarves are going to use for now. Eventually they'll get their own bedrooms, but for now, since we're tight on space and we don't have a lot of time, we're going to press space plus a few times and get it just like that. Now, as you can see, the blue darker tiles on the edge obviously mean that there's a wall, and then the lighter tiles means it's an acceptable space. Go ahead and set it just like that. We'll press enter. And now on the right, again, more options. You can assign the bed to someone very specifically. That's usually if you want to do a bedroom, you want to do that. You can free up the bed if someone was assigned to it. You can make it a barracks, which we don't want to do because that'd be for military. Or you can do a dormitory, that's exactly what we want to do. So we'll press in, and now this is a dormitory. Any dwarf will come and sleep here if they need to. Now I could press R if I wanted to resize the room again, but this is we don't want it to go too far. We're going to go just like that. Press enter. We can give it a name. Let's give it a name. Let's do the rough shod inn. It's not really an inn. It's a roughshod hostel. Roughshod rooms. There There we go. I'm not really sure what naming it does for you, but it just lets you name it so you can kind of designate it a bit easier. Now all these beds that are in here will actually fall in this same dormitory, so you don't have to worry about like making another dormitory here or anything like that. You don't have to do that. You can just do one bed in the room. We'll unpause. Now as you saw when I was doing that, let's go to resize room again. I could very easily press enter a bunch and it would spill out, and look at that. Oh my gosh, it'd be this huge dormitory. That's kind of gross. That's kind of messy. So let's subtract this a little bit back to its default. How could we block off those narrow pathways? Well, we can make doors. Doors are used to block off parts of your fortress. Obviously, they can be locked. They can be set for so that only like specific types of creatures can pass through them. They also work as a first line of defense against enemies trying to invade your fort. So as you can imagine, you probably don't want beds built out of wood because they break very easily. So we want to build them out of stone. In order to build something out of stone, whereas you need a carpenter's workshop for wood, you need a mason's workshop for stone. So let's go to the build menu, B, the workshops, W, and scroll down the list. By the way, really helpful number here. Whenever you build something, the number of how many of those items you have will show up right here. So if you're like, do I have a dyer's shop somewhere? You can go look right here. Sure enough, I've got a dyer's shop, and I mean, you just have to find it. Hopefully, you make like a workshop area where all your workshops can be found, and it's usually the easiest way to sort it. But that will let you see if you have already built the building, maybe you don't remember, or how many exactly you have. It works for things like beds. We have 3 beds, as you can see. Here, sure enough, they're built. They're not made necessarily. It only shows you what's been built or placed, but not what's been built. So we'll go back to the workshops, and we will find the mason's workshop, which is M, right here in the middle. That's sort of in the middle. So we'll press M, and just like before, it wants us to place the workshop. We'll put it on this side because I love symmetry. And now you can see here the unpassable tiles for the mason's workshop is a little different than the carpenter's workshop. This tile on the right and this tile on the left are not passable, but all the others are. Personally, whenever I build a workshop, I like to build it in a 5x5 area with the workshop going in the 3 or the 9 tiles in the middle. That way you know for sure. You basically don't even have to worry about the passability problem. Excuse me, I keep having to mute my mic to cough. That might be allergies or something, but definitely not coming down with yet another cold because I have had way too many of those. Anyway, let's place the mason's workshop. Now you can build a mason's workshop out of logs. Thank goodness, because we don't have any stone yet. So let's go ahead, set it to be built, and our mason should come build it. Now, we need stone in order to build a stone door. That makes sense. But we've not found any stone yet. So what do we need to do? We need to dig downward. So let's go down a level. And if you remember correctly, and I think it was 2 episodes ago, whoops, I'm going to hit K. Nope, didn't go back far enough. Hit K for look. We have our 4 silt up and down stairways. So we need to go lower. If we go lower, we have just the wall. This is clay. This is actually going to be really good. We're going to make a lot of stuff with clay. I'm going to have to look it up, however, because I've actually not really done much with clay. But now we've got it, we're going to use it. Anyway, we need to, if you remember correctly from our designations episode, in order to build up or down stairways, you need an up or down stairway on the next floor or above. There has to be a pair. Now this is an up-down, it counts as both. So at the top floor we have down stairways, here we have an up and another down. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to build another up-down stairway. We're going to basically build one giant center column. That's a very common Dwarf Fortress thing to do. You see it in a lot of other Let's Plays, a lot of other tutorials. It's very simple. I like to use ramps sometimes because I think it's more aesthetically pleasing. You could, if you wanted to, for instance, I'm going to go to the designations menu. Remember that's D. And do something like build a hallway and then put a downward slope at the end of it, and then put like an upward slope, which would be here, R, there. That way, and then you could go down a level, and then you could build you'd already have a downward ramp there, so then you dig out your little tunnel, and then you'd have another channel there. So they'd kind of be like this kind of back and forth, slopey kind of. Anyway, it would take the dwarves longer to traverse, but I think it looks a bit nicer, and I might do an example of that in this fort at some point, just to show you, hey, here's another way you could do this, or do like a few different patterns, just to show you some familiar ways. But for now, we're going to go ahead and discontinue the stairway, the giant central stairway. We'll press D, and we will press I for up downstairs. Press Enter to start. Remember, here's the little starting icon. Move it to the bottom right, and now we've designated 4 more to be cut out. We'll go down, oops, down, do it again, 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 down, oops, do it again. I was just about to comment on how fast you get at doing things like that, and then I messed it up. So now we have 3 different tasks going on all at once. We have Celeste building our beds. We have, I think it was Locke and Vaughn building our stairs, and I forget who our mason is. It doesn't matter for now. But let's go down and let's follow. I will unpause. Let's follow our dwarves as they dig out. We're looking for a rock layer. Okay, we found it. Nope. Nope. Oh, I'm going up. There we go. Chert and hematite. Those are Those are both rock layers. You can see right here in the middle. I'm in K right now, by the way. Look menu. There's hematite right there on the stairs. They carved out the stairs, and there was enough hematite left over to make a boulder. Let's go to the wiki. Type in hematite. Oops, that's the search, or that's the find on this page. Let's do hematite. There we go. Hematite is an ore of iron. Oh. A mid-value metal used for weapons, armor, and steel production. Hematite is found in veins, in sedimentary layers, and igneous extrusive layers. So we actually don't want to build things out of hematite. That would be bad. Let's look at chert. I know we found some chert as well. Chert is brownstone found in sedimentary layers. It is magma safe, but otherwise unremarkable. So we can use chert to build. That's good. So we'll probably do that. Hopefully we get some chert boulders. If not... Now, if you see at the bottom middle, it says you have struck hematite. It's letting me know, hey, something's happened. Anytime an important message or anytime an important event occurs, you will see it down there at the bottom. It's often, you know, I can't reach this thing, or I'm under attack, or something has scared me, I can't finish what I'm doing, or you have struck something valuable, being hematite. In order to view all of the announcements in the game, that's like, you know, most recent to far in the past, you press A, view announcements, A. We've only had 2. The weather is cleared. Remember, it was raining at the very beginning of the game. And you have struck hematite, which just happened. The important button here is that, thankfully, like a lot of RTS games or other strategy games, you can zoom to the location of this announcement. Bottom left corner here, you can see zoom to location. So let's press Z. And sure enough, we knew it. It's pointing us to the hematite boulder and the hematite wall that we found. Anyway, let's unpause. Continue to go down. Looks like I'm getting some chert boulders, which is good. There's another one. There's 2 more. And that seems to be it. So we got a few. I don't know if we have enough. But we've got a few. Alright, so while we were gone, it looks like our mason's workshop was finished. Let's press Q. Remember, Q is to set a building task or preference. And look, it looks like we have 2 more beds in the workshop to build, and we have nothing set up for the mason's workshop. So let's add a task, just like in the carpenter's workshop. Press tab a few times. Want to get this menu nice and big so you can see it. And here's our list. Now, if you are observant, you will notice a lot of these are similar to the craft, or to the carpenter's workshop. The armor stand, the throne, which is a chair, coffin, door, floodgate, hatch, grate, cabinet, coffer, table. A lot of these are familiar. A lot of items in Dwarf Fortress can be built multiple ways in multiple multiple, what's the word I'm looking for? Out of multiple things. That's not very elegant, but you can build the same thing out of multiple items. I'm at a mason's workshop, so I'm going to be using stone. A carpenter's workshop would use wood. A steel furnace, you can make steel doors, steel chairs, although why you'd want to sit in a steel chair or a stone chair or a wood chair. You know, we kind of need like a a cushion workshop. You know, you'd want to sit on a cushion or a beanbag. Need a beanbag workshop. If anybody mods Dwarf Fortress and you're listening to this, can we get a beanbag workshop, please? I want to make beanbag chairs. Anyway, that's an aside. We want to build some rock doors, right? So let's go down to doors, which is D. We're in the build menu, so we'll press D. Sure enough, construct rock door is highlighted. Now, normally I'm not this specific, but I'm going to go down and count. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So we have 5 chert boulders. And the game is not going to care which boulder we go after. It's basically just going to search for the closest one. Now there are ways that you can get around that. It's not going to pick up the hematite because hematite is special, and the dwarves know not to use that in building random stone things. So we don't have to worry about it using up that hematite, which is good because we're going to want to dig that out later. But it will try to go get the chert, and it's just down there. But we have 5 chert boulders, which we counted, and as you can see, I can actually build a door. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It will let me attempt to build 6 doors, even though I only have 5 available stones for building. Basically what will happen is the dwarf, whoever's going to build these, will build the 5, and then it will go searching for a 6th. It'll be like, oh, I can't find one, and it will cancel the task. Usually you don't have to worry about this because the number of boulders and rocks and wood and things that you're going to have is so large. This almost never happens. It happens in very specific cases, like dwarves running out of cows to milk because you usually don't have 20, 30, 60 cows, right? But you usually have hundreds of wood, hundreds of stone. Anyway, I don't want 5 or 6 doors. I only want 2 to close up my bedroom. So I will press C to cancel this one. Cancel, cancel, and cancel. Now I only have 2. I'll unpause. And whoever built our mason's workshop should show up in a moment or two with the boulder. Ah, there we go. Who is this? Sid. Sid the Mason. Alright. Now look how slow he's moving with that boulder. Boulders are heavy, so they take a while to move. You can get around that using wheelbarrows, but it requires a little bit of setup, and I'm not going to go into that right now. Alright, so one is done. He's now dragging the boulder all slow to the other. Our mason, or our carpenter, Celeste, seems to have disappeared. Let's press Q. Is she done? She is. She's done. She's gone back to her leisure activities at the wagon upstairs. So we can now, I'm going to press escape. Press escape again. Oops, one too many times. I'm going to enter the build menu or place menu with B. And I'm going to build another bed. We have beds for placement, so I'll press enter here. I have 3 plumwood beds and 1 hazel bed. So we'll go ahead and press enter. B again. Place the bed. Enter, enter. B again. Enter, enter. One more. Enter, enter. Okay. Once again, that's not symmetrical, and I just can't stand that. So I'm going to go to the workshop. A, B. Build another bed. Celeste, please come back down here. And, solve my... Okay, good. Look at all those dwarves. They all are running in there. Filling up the beds. Celeste is making us a new one. God bless you, Celeste. You're so patient with me. Alright, that's done. Let's go B. B, build a bed. Press enter where we want it. Hazelwood bed. There's our 8th bed. Now we're nice and even. Hooray. By the way, I'm going to always try to remember to talk about the buttons that I press, but I probably will start going faster the more often we are doing something. So obviously, designating a workshop to build something is QA, right? QA. It's always going to happen that way. So that's probably going to start getting pretty quick. So, the doors are finished, but where are they? That's right there in the workshop. Let's press T to look at it. Sure enough, you can see them right here. I'm using my mouse cursor to show you. Chert door, chert door. Remember the little symbols on the side represent quality. Let's see. Let's hit plus to go down. Remember that you use plus and minus to navigate the section on the right. Press enter to view it. Enter again? No. Oh, V for description. Finely crafted. Okay, so the plus icon means finely crafted. Let's see what the asterisk. Enter V. Superior quality. So superior quality and finely crafted. Now, which one is better? I can't tell you. I'm not sure. There is, I'm sure, quality. Yep, sure enough. Well crafted is a 2x modifier, and superior is a 4x qualifier. Very nice. And you can see here the symbols on the side. The minus, the plus, the asterisk, the 3 lines, the weird symbol, and then a unique name. Whenever a dwarf makes a masterful item, by the way, you get an announcement for it, so you can come and see it. Dwarves like higher quality items. So if you have a dwarf that perhaps his son was just killed, or perhaps he was just in an accident and lost his arm, and he's feeling very upset, you could put a masterfully crafted statue right in his bedroom. And every time he goes into his room to sleep, he will see that master-crafted statue. Maybe it's even a statue of him losing his arm in a goblin raid. Yes, that does happen. You make statues and you make artifacts out of events that happened in your fort. Anyway, again, this is a huge another aside, but just kind of highlighting some of the cool procedural awesomeness of this game. He could see a statue of the very fight that took his arm, and he would get excited. Now, why he would get excited about that, I don't know. Let's use a different example. He could see a statue of the founding of the fortress itself, or a carving of the fortress itself, done masterfully. He gets so excited about looking at that carving every single day that you prevent him from getting so depressed that he does something that he would regret. It's pretty cool. Anyway, let's build these doors. We know the doors are there. Let's press B, and sure enough, doors are in the list. We're going to press D. We have the doors, so we're going to mouse over these entrances here. Now, if we just put it out in the middle of nowhere, or the middle of this room here, it's red, and you can see on the right, needs adjacent wall. Now, you could build it like this, and it would just be a door attached to a wall that wouldn't do anything. Or if you wanted to get crafty, you could put one here and one here next to the stairs, and it would kind of count as like a double set of doors. It doesn't do anything other than aesthetically look nice. So you know that means I'll probably do it at least once or twice. Press enter. You can see on the right we have our church doors that we knew existed. Press enter again. Press D. Go over. Enter. Enter. A few dwarves show up to place the last bed and the 2 doors. There we go. We have our dormitory. Now, let's go back. I'm going to press Q. Remember, Q is to set preferences. I'm going to go up to this bed that we made the bedroom, and I'm going to press R to resize. Now, we didn't have the doors there before. If you remember correctly, I could press plus a bunch, and the exits would spill right out of this room into the other rooms, and it would just be a huge mess. Well, with the doors there, I can't do that. I can press plus all day long, and nothing will happen. The doors help you manage your rooms. So Remember that as you're trying to build. Now, you don't have to have doors in order to block off rooms. You can just this. Oh, okay. Let's press minus a bunch of times. Apparently, the game thinks I was still trying to expand out. You could technically do the room like this, and it would still work perfectly fine. It'd cover all those beds. But again, it's not symmetrical and it looks weird. So I would press plus one more time. Looks perfect. Press enter. We have our dormitory. Just like that. Remember, we've assigned it as dormitory over here, which means dwarves will come and sleep. Cool. Well, that was the basic workshops. Let's take a look at them some more and just kind of talk about a few of the other important ones. Let's go. Remember, B for building, W for workshops. Take a look at a few of the others. You combine your leatherworks with a butcher shop. So that'd be here and here to butcher animals to make leather. But there's another step. You would butcher something, you would tan the hides, and then from the hides make leather armor. Clothes to make clothes out of hemp and pigtails and things like that. Not pigtails, but the plant called pigtail. Bowyer's workshop for bows, metal, jewelers. Craft dwarfs for things like crafts, instruments. You make, I think you make crossbow ammo at a craft dwarfs. Siege workshop to make siege things. Mechanics to make mechanisms. Still to make alcohol. That's what we're going to do probably in the next episode. Talk about food and alcohol. Your farmer's workshop to do things like process eggs. Kitchen to make meals. Fishery for fish. Ashery, dyers. Soap maker's workshop to make soap. Dwarves don't really care if they're clean or dirty, by the way. I'm actually not too sure what a soap maker's workshop does. We're going to have to learn that. That's something I've never really used before. But that's the awesome thing about this series. You're learning, and I'm learning. But that's going to do it for this episode on the basics of workshops. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.